Welcome into the Crypto Bunker podcast. Today, I want to talk to you guys about some of my plans to convert, as I already have converted some Ethereum into gold. I want to kind of look at the gold to ETH ratio, the gold to Bitcoin ratio, the Bitcoin chart, and also the Ethereum chart. As we talked about yesterday, I was saying that I thought we were in a complacency rally, and it looks to me as though that has played out. And okay, so this is the definition of a dragonfly doji. So what we're looking at here is called a dragonfly doji, and it usually will signal a reversal. And it's funny how many dojis we're sort of putting in recently on this chart, where we have a gravestone doji here, right? So this has sort of been an uptrend. We had a big shooting star here where we saw the bears come in. And what we can sort of look at is, the reason we can look at this is because PaxGold is a digital token. And so PaxGold is actually traded on Binance with ETH and with Bitcoin and with Binance coin. So I actually want to look at that too. I want to look at gold to Binance coin, because we're just comparing gold to crypto, something that a lot of channels won't do, right? A lot of people will never, ever show you these charts. They think, they're not thinking about gold. They're not thinking about geopolitics. They're not thinking about macroeconomics. All they're thinking about is UFC champion says Bitcoin is better than banks, or Odell Beckham converts salary to Bitcoin, or so-and-so congresswoman, says they own Bitcoin, or whatever it is. There's always something that is getting you to be bullish, but it's not the thing that you need to be looking at. And gold, it acts as a protector in times of crisis and in times of Fed monetary mistakes and in times of peak inflation. It's usually the last thing to rally when we have an inflationary cycle. And so I believe 2022 is going to surprise some people. I do not think that the Fed has control of monetary policy. They do not have control of inflation. They think that they can raise rates. They can't. They're going to crash the economy, and they're still going to have inflation. So it's going to be the worst of both worlds, which usually leads to riots in the streets, usually leads to food shortages, energy, power outages. These are things that happen in history when you have a runaway inflationary environment with a stock market crash. And so just keep those things in mind. But what we're here today to do is to look at this. And what we're looking at is higher lows, right? So we've been rallying up since November, since the top in Ethereum on November 9th. We have been making higher lows, and we just touched this same exact trend line, and the bulls stepped in heavily and actually created this total reversal. This is actually one of the, and this will close in 30 minutes. So it's not official yet, but what we're looking at is a classic reversal, just like we saw a gravestone doji that was just printed on this chart here, where we and this is a classic reversal. So we went up, and now we printed this, just like we printed this gravestone doji here. Okay, so that's a gravestone. There's really not too much of an example of a this is an example of a dragonfly doji. So this is sort of just like, I was just playing around with the chart today. And this is just sort of like a scenario that I sort of thought is possible. This is kind of my thesis, I guess, if you want to look at it in a chart. It's kind of like this here. So from here, this actually looks like another possible gravestone that's developing. So again, just like we had here, this reversal and then a downward movement, we now have a few weeks in a row green, and then a possible flat reversal where the bear stepped in and did not let it get any higher than it opened the week prior. We obviously saw this dragonfly doji here. We should have known to trade up. I missed that. That was my mistake. That's something that I missed, but I didn't want to be a part of this rally. I always said this is not my plan. We were in quad 4 going into a deeper quad 4. And so what I did was, I'm attempting to protect myself with gold from crypto right now. And so this is kind of something I could see playing out. We just keep kind of stair stepping down. This is around, let's see, $1,000, I think, is my is where I would step in, I think. And I'll show you guys the gold to Ethereum chart, but I am looking for a 2-to-1 ratio here, possibly on gold to Ethereum. And so this is kind of the chart that I see possibly playing out. We may have gone over this before, but I did want to show there's multiple things that have showed me like this geometrical pattern here where we have right through the middle. So once we break this middle point, I think we're just kind of on the way up. I think at the very least, you're going to get 1-to-1. And that was sort of my original goal. I was thinking, okay, if I can get 1-to-1, ETH will probably be around 1900 or 1800, maybe even 1700 if they both crash. The idea was that gold would crash less, or that gold would sort of go sideways. And that's kind of the position I'm in. What I want to do is I want to take my precious metals and I want to purchase a house with it maybe in the future. So I kind of wouldn't even mind if they went sideways, if they just kind of go sideways while we're in this bear, where I think real estate, I think this is an everything bubble. The only thing that isn't in a bubble, in my opinion, is gold and silver. And so everything is in a bubble, in my opinion, except those are the 2 least loved assets on the planet. And that is why you want to own them, because no one wants to own them. And right now, people are stuck in this bubble mentality of up only still. And I don't understand. It's like, I think that this is an example of mass formation psychosis, is Bitcoin. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I don't understand. People just aren't like awake to it. I don't know. And look, we're putting in another, look at that doji we just put in. That is beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely. Love to see it. As someone that wants gold to outperform crypto right now, we again are having higher lows. We hit that trend line perfectly, and we closed above it on the daily. And I expect us to go up from here. And we can kind of see this line here that we can maybe look to possibly, I'm not trading this personally because I don't have interest in Bitcoin. I have interest in ETH, but I think we could get to possibly 0.1, maybe 0.08. So that's a double. So you could double your Bitcoin, you could double your ETH, possibly more here within the next couple months. And then if we look at the Bitcoin chart again, we came up, and this is sort of a reversal, sort of a gravestone. Obviously, this tail is a little bit too long. Same with the gold to Bitcoin ratio, tail's a little bit too long. But it still does signal that the bears stepped in pretty heavily here and flattened us out. And so what I expect there to be a reversal here. I do not expect us to go higher, but if we did, this is a level to watch out for, 47.5. I think that's sort of the last chance for the bulls. The last chance for the bulls is to get above 50K. They need to get above 50K and they need to hold that. And I mean, if you really think that that's possible, I mean, you might be in a short-term trade here or something, but you know, ultimately, regardless of if we squeeze up here, we're going lower than this low, in my opinion. Or we double down, you know, we could go to 50, we go back, we sort of double down on this low here. You know, that's not the worst thing. People are then calling for lower. People are freaking out, you know, and then we ultimately go. But some things have happened today. You know, the Bitfinex scam that was sort of there's a lot of scams coming out recently, guys. I mean, you have to wake up to the possibilities that, you know, a lot of this is going to be cleaned up in the next year. I think in 2022, I think is the year that we see some serious cleanup in the market, and that to me screams bear. Okay, and I think it's going to be a bigger bear than anyone expects. Okay, so I think we could see some major things develop here that people are not aware of right now. You know, if I could, you know, sort of draw what I think is going to happen, you know, something like this where we drop to this low, we get a little bit of a mini bounce, we go to this low, we get a big bounce up to 37.5, and then we kind of roll, and then we go, and then we roll down like that, and then we go, wow, we go directly up. But honestly, that's, you know, that's 14K. There it is. I was gonna say 14K. I literally did that accidentally. 14K, I think, is somewhere we could go with Bitcoin. We're just one sort of you know, we're one narrative away here from something happening. I think that a lot of people have been scammed in this market, including with Bitcoin. I think Tether is a scam. The government seems to be after Tether now. They're talking about, you know, auditing Tether, even though they don't audit the Fed, which is BS. Tether is basically the Fed on steroids. There's no audit. There's nothing there. So be careful in these markets. I think be careful in stable coins. I know that people hate to hear that. And like when I was a bull and I, you know, had all my wealth on the blockchain, I was like, oh, it's immutable. It's, you know, nothing's gonna happen. I can be in stable coins. But sometimes I would have that feeling of like, what if it, you know, what if it did turn out to be a Ponzi, and all of a sudden, like, I had these dollars that weren't backed. And I think the dollars that are probably the safest that are issued as a bank is USDC. And I actually think that some of this regulation that's coming in is possibly going to shift more money over to USDC. I mean, it definitely will. It also, you know, I also think that that USDC could be the world reserve currency. I still think that's in play. You know, so what I think could happen is there could be a giant cleanup, a freak out bear. You know, stuff starts to come out about Bitcoin that's really bad. You know, it goes really low. And then maybe the whales, you know, and the banks and the institutions that have kind of already set up their funds start to come in here and scoop up when people think that the market is literally dead. That's when I want to buy. I want to buy at like the most extreme fear that you can possibly think of. So, you know, we're talking like 2-to-1 on the gold to ETH ratio, like $1,000 ETH, $2,000 gold. That's when I want to buy. And that would be a huge gain. You know, that would be a massive gain. I could get a lot of ETH there for cheap, really. That would be amazing. And people would think it's dead, you know. Oh, ETH is a security or whatever, like whatever they're going to say. NFTs are used for laundering, or You know, some of the DeFi stuff is a scam, and some of it has turned out to be a scam. And people still are not awake to it. Like all the stuff that happened with Saifu and Daniel Sesta with Wonderland Finance, with MIM stablecoin, which is, you know, turned out to be kind of scary if you look at what's backing that. A lot of stuff with Curve is involved with Tether, with the Tri Crypto funds, where it's like Bitcoin, ETH, and Tether. You know, you guys have heard me mention Epstein. I mean, I hope that people understand that he was a Bitcoin whale, and, you know, Maxwell and him probably are still Bitcoin whales, even if he's passed. So who knows what happens with that money? And then all the times they've used Bitcoin to, you know, for pedophile rings, it's crazy. I mean, it's obvious that they would use that. If he was a Bitcoin guy and he was doing pedophile rings, what do you think he used to, you know, distribute money throughout the whole world and really aid in this pedophile ring probably becoming larger because it was easier to move money around quicker? So super sad stuff there. And I hope that, you know, is resolved. And maybe the market gets cleaned up enough that we can, you know, we can resume sort of a more cleaned up and sort of consolidated market. I would actually kind of like that if it was just, you know, maybe 100 coins or something, you know, and who knows what it would look like. But what you can see is that PaxGold against Binance coin, another crypto, another major that we're seeing sort of making these higher lows here, and we see this massive volume come in with someone buying gold with Binance coin there, probably the biggest since this massive candle right around the March, you know, or I guess May 2021. So that's interesting. But yeah, again, they're all making these like rounded bottoms. So you just have to kind of read the chart. If you look at this, it's kind of just this large sort of year-long, even more than a year rounded bottom. And now we're making higher lows here. So this is everything that I want to see. Just wanted to update you guys on some of that stuff. So hopefully you got something out of the video, and subscribe, like if you have not, and have a great day and great night.